Guys, what does backup fighter mean to you? And this has never been established. There isn't a policy here within my argument, but backup fighter to me is an absolute acknowledgement that you're next. Number one contender, right? The official number one contender isn't who's ranked number one. The official number one contender is whoever gets the bout agreement opposite the champion. Whoever is next for the champion is number one contender by definition. But to loosely use that word, number one contender going to fight for the belt. Yeah, why you can't have two of them at the same time. Give me a little flexibility here on the language. I would think that's what backup fighter means. In history, would largely support me. Michael Chandler was a backup fighter, by example. His next fight was for the title. Just an example. Kamaru Usman had done everything, won the Ultimate Fighter, 15-1, beautiful record, never lost in the UFC. Couldn't get a title fight. He becomes backup fighter. His next fight is then for the title. Just examples that are popping right into my head. Colby Covington, maybe one for 2023. Goes out for the Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman trilogy fight. Becomes the number one contender. And it would seem as though that's what you would need to do unless you had some explaining. Right? Maybe you have a clear number one contender, but it's a date issue. He's dealing with a little injury, something like this. He's got a wedding to attend. I mean, I'm just sharing with you, like, maybe there's an excuse why he couldn't do it, so you find someone else, but then you go back to this guy. Like, I don't know that we need a policy or hard and fast rule. Nothing wrong with us giving ourselves some flexibility for extenuating circumstance. But it would seem as though if a guy is publicly acknowledged that anywhere from now to the fight, anywhere, including at the weigh-in, meaning in 24 hours, anywhere from now till the fight, he's going in. That would make him the number one contender. It seems. It seems as there's some truth to what I'm saying. Like, I've got the right tool, even if I've got it by the wrong end. Can we agree on that? Because Khamzat has been announced as the backup fighter for Oliveira, Makhachev. And I'm just wondering what it means. Like, what does it mean? I don't remember the time that we shunned a backup fighter. It has happened. I could find you an example of that. Like, somewhere within my mind, Sergey Pavlich was even a backup fighter. I think that was for Jon Jones versus Cyril Gane. In fact, I'm right. Sergey was a backup fighter and had another fight coming up. So he went and did backup fighter for this, and it ended up not happening. He just kept the date and went and fought this guy instead. But when you say that Khamzat is the backup fighter, how did we get there? Did we start with Justin Gaethje? I don't have the answer to that. I would think that Gaethje would have accepted that. People used to really want to be a backup fighter. I think it's a coveted position. I think it should come with a little bit more media. There should be a little something more for that spot. But that's my opinion. The marketing department thinks, no, now you're confusing the audience. Don't tell them you're going to get a fight between three. Find two guys. Have somebody over here on ice. I mean, I get it. I'm just explaining. I'm stating the obvious for you. Conor McGregor is the one that came out and made it uncool. Conor McGregor was offered a backup position. He publicly said, I'm not a backup fighter. I'm a main event. I'm your top draw. I'm not a guy you bring in maybe. I like to build it. I get participation points based on who turns in. They're going to tune in because of my build. I don't want to go out and do some of this work to not deliver for my fans. And at the same time, I don't want to go out and be put in a position to go to work tonight where I didn't have the opportunity to bring my real skill, which was the build. Like, I got it. I understood it from Conor's perspective, but like so many things in the sport, once somebody does it, everybody else copies. Whatever appears to be cool, like these fighters are supposed to be tough, autonomous thinkers, have never had an autonomous thought in their life. And after Conor made it as though it wasn't cool, a lot of guys backed away from it and they didn't want to do it. Perhaps that's what happened here with Justin Gaethje. That would be very un-Justin-like to turn down any opportunity, particularly since it's this fight in that weight class. And we saw the last time we literally did this exact same fight in this weight class, in the same venue, everything for the same belt, there was a backup fighter. The backup fighter instantly got the winner. So it would seem as though something Justin would do. But Justin might also be secure enough in his position that he's next, that he's going to just wait, right? comes back to the term I used earlier with extenuating circumstance. Justin might not think I'm in the same position as Volkanovski or other guys. And Gamrot's not in the same position as me, coming off a victory over Poirier, reigning BMF champion. So whether he goes and fills in for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity or not, either way, I'm going to shut the book on him when this is done, and I'm going to take my spot back. That could be the math. No problem. But what would you do there? I mean, if Charles Oliveira doesn't show up and or misses weight, which is very on the table. Charles has told us 3 times he's not doing this fight. 3 times. More than 3 times over the course of his career, Charles has missed weight. Like, it's a very real thing to keep your eyes open and be prepared for this. What if Gamrot went in and beat Islam and now he's the champion? I mean, right, everything is now off the board. Everything we thought we knew about this division or where we're going or who the players and the contenders are, you reshuffle the whole deck. And then what if it was Islam's side? Like, what if Islam missed weight and or pulled out of this fight for whatever reason? I believe they would strip him. That's what I believe. Common belief is that Charles would fight and it would be for an interim championship. He would fight Gamrot for an interim championship. That is common belief. I don't know if I believe that. I think it might be the undisputed championship. Charles Oliveira, after all, was promised an undisputed title shot. So if something happened to that champion and you're going to interim it, I think they might just take the belt off him completely. I mean, that's just a conversation that's just for fun. And I don't believe that's a spot that we're ever going to be in. I can't think of anything that would stop Islam from going through and performing. I could think lots of things that would stop Charles. But it is a very interesting spot of who pulls out, who goes in, and then what outcome do you have? It throws everything in to disarray. Anything that you think you know, right, which would include Gaethje's math. Hypothetically, if I was close on Gaethje's math, hey, I'm already the guy. I don't need to do anything to strengthen this position. I'm already in that position, right? It would all get thrown off if you change the players. So I think it's an interesting move. I also think it's the right move. Gamrot's as good as any fighter in that division. And you're not going to see a night where you saw Gamrot look like he had deficits, aside from Benny Dariush, who put on one of the great performances of his career. But I'm sharing for you. Gamrot's a good choice any way you want to do it. Coming off a win, no matter how it came, or Fitzayev in a main event, like, I'm okay with the whole thing. I like that there's an idea. I like that there's a backup fighter there. This card is so heavily dependent on its co-main event for North American sales. But there's other parts of the world that really want to see that main event, specifically with Islam. And to bring in a backup fighter, to me, just makes sense.